Hey guys, it is Ray.
And Jay.
So sorry about the dead YouTube channel.
Yeah, we died.
I got bored with unboxing, and so I stopped collecting those things.
Yep.
But we still really like horror, and we still really like horror stuff.
And we still really like you.
So here is our new plan.
Yeah. So basically, we're just going to be doing some movie reviews. We've done like just a couple of those before. And so basically, we're just going to watch horror movies, and we're going to tell you what we think about them.
And Jay is going to be the optimistic one. I am the bad cop.
Is that how that works?
I think so. I think that's how it's going to work. Yeah.
So today, we are in like half an hour or something going to see Hellfest.
Which, I mean, I don't know how I feel about it, honestly. It has Tony Todd, so I'm there.
You know, I'm not super optimistic, to be honest.
Yeah. So, first impressions, we just rewatched the trailer to get an idea of what we're actually going to go see. And, of course, anybody has watched it, we should probably put a link if nobody's watched it.
Yeah.
So, link at the bottom.
Yeah.
Basically, the movie is about a horror festival and I guess some sort of maniac killing people at the festival.
Yeah, it just looks like a slasher at like a haunted house / amusement park combo thing.
Yeah. Now, my hope and dream is that the entire thing is actually the carnival and that there's not really a murderer killing people.
And that it's just a really a really well-designed horror experience.
Yeah. I doubt that's gonna happen, but we're gonna find out today in about half an hour. So the plan will be, we'll be back after we watch the movie for kind of first impressions.
Yep.
And then once we get home, back into our recording room,
yep,
we will do a post-mortem and think about more about the things that worked and didn't work in the film.
Totally.
So I guess we'll see you guys in a little bit.
All right, see you soon. Bye. And we're back. Hello.
And we're back.
So we saw a movie.
Really, my first immediate impression is I really want to go to Hellfest.
I want to go to Hellfest.
I want to go to Hellfest.
That was pretty much what I took out of it too. It was fun.
It was fun. It didn't really do anything new or original.
Well, you know, I think the setting was the big thing that was different.
The setting was very obviously the point.
It had a nice horror aspect. Like, it was a horror movie in a horror setting, which, you know, is not brand new, but it's nice.
Yeah.
How do you work this camera? There we go. It was fun. I would recommend watching it.
I don't know if I would recommend theater prices for watching it.
I don't know. Maybe if you see it with a fun audience, maybe.
Yeah. Our audience was pretty dead for it being a Sunday afternoon.
Well, we saw it pretty early in the day. You know, it might be too late for fun audiences.
Well, it just came out this weekend, didn't it?
Oh, is it only a couple days? I thought we were a week late.
Maybe. Okay. Well, we will double check that.
We can do that.
All right. So that was initial impressions. I guess we will go to our apartment and do a post-mortem from there about the things that we actually liked and that actually worked in the movie.
Right. So, super long story short, that was fun. I'm probably not going to have a lot of thinky thoughts, but let's see what comes up.
But there's some cool things I like about it.
Some stuff to discuss.
We'll talk about that.
All right. See you in a second.
Bye. Hey guys.
Hey.
We're back.
Yeah.
All right, so first off, I was right. It did just come out on the 28th, which is this Friday. So this was opening weekend.
Yeah, so it opened 2 days ago.
Opened 2 days ago. We saw it on Sunday.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're going to do postmortem. So that means from this point on, there's going to be movie spoilers.
Postmortem is an excellent name for this segment.
Is it?
Right.
Well, I mean, that's what it is, or I don't know.
It's just particularly apropos for a theoretical horror channel.
Yeah, right. Okay, so spoilers past this point.
Yeah.
I'm going to give a quick rundown of the plot. Don't worry, there's not much of one. So it will be really fast.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, it's exactly what it said on the tin. Some 6 teenagers go to a horror festival called Hellfest. One of them is stalked by a murderer. People die. It's a slasher film.
Yeah.
Really, that's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
But there were a couple of things that I did find interesting, and also maybe plot holes. I'm not quite sure on that. Okay, so it starts when. All right, so we have our. How do I even want to start this?
Well, it starts with a prologue.
Yes, it starts with a prologue of this killer killing a girl in the maze and stringing her body up. And in present day, when they're telling this story, apparently her body wasn't found for like 3 days because everybody thought it was a prop. I'm going to save that point, put a pin in it, and I'm going to come back to that later. Right. So then we have our 6 main people. We have 1 black woman and 1 Asian man. So already they're kind of doing better on the cast than usual, right?
But it was very much 3 straight couples.
But it was very much 3 straight couples.
Which I didn't think it was gonna be at first. I for real thought we had a lesbian.
Right? Okay. So we after that prologue, the movie opens with our main white girl who is Jodie, Natalie.
Well, I don't know anyone's names.
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna call her Jodie.
Someone was Hugh. Oh, and the guy was
Okay, there was our main white final girl. I'm pretty sure her name was Jodie. And then there was her best friend, Natalie. I think she was our main black woman character. And then we had our 3rd character, whose name I honestly can't remember, but apparently she's pretty popular. I remember her from Scream. Bex something or other.
Bex something. I watched the trailer earlier today and saw in the comments people talking about Bex, and I was like, I don't know who Bex is.
So I know the actress.
Anyway,
I cannot remember the character. Anyway, so those are the 3 women.
Yeah.
And then we have the guy that Jodie kind of likes, and maybe he kind of likes her, and his name was Gavin.
Gavin!
And then there was our Natalie's boyfriend, which was Q.
Yeah.
And then there was the Asian guy whose name is...
Maybe something with an A?
Something. I can't remember.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it was an A. Okay, so there's our main cast. And when we first enter into the movie, it's our main girl, Jodie, coming to see her friend Natalie. And then the other girl whose name I cannot remember, we're going to figure that out and put that back in the, I guess, description. Because I really hate calling her that girl. I'm going to find out.
Just Google it.
I don't have my phone with me. Right. I'm going to have to get my phone and Google her.
It's the 1860s. Neither of us have a device.
Oops. Anyway, so, like, when Jodie first came in, I thought Natalie and the other girl were totally lesbian.
I thought they were girlfriends. I thought they were a really cute couple.
Give me just a second. I'm going to get her name.
Go get her name. Just bring your phone. No, I totally read at least the one girl as a lesbian, because she's this little short girl, and she has, like, short, cool, colorful hair, and I don't know, she read to me as a lesbian. And she was just like this little energetic person, and spoiler alert, if she's a lesbian, they didn't really go there.
Sadly.
She's bi. We'll call her bi.
We'll call her bi, yes. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
All right.
And also, like, the 2 main girls were very much like old best friends, and they have like a necklace.
A necklace, which means you can't stay mad. Their BFF necklace, it's so cute.
To me, very much read like high school sweethearts, because I read into things.
Okay, so Natalie was our main character.
Okay.
Brooke was her best friend that we were just talking about.
Brooke.
And Taylor was the other girl.
Who's not a lesbian.
Who was not a lesbian, but, you know, I always felt she was, and I know she played a lesbian in Scream, because she played Audrey. I'm pretty sure Audrey was a lesbian.
Okay.
So I think that's where my wires were crossed on her character, other than, like, how gay everybody was, and I loved them. And so anyway, they did this whole thing about being straight and, like, getting laid, and it was really gross.
It did very end up, like, coupling off 3 straight couples.
Which, you know, fine, I get it, but I mean...
Unnecessary. It is 2063, and still 3 straight couples in this movie.
But, you know, in fact, Jay mentioned this in the theater, like, I was totally unfazed by the first murder, I was unfazed by this, unfazed by that, and then there was, like, kissing, and I was like, And it was the first thing that got a response from me.
There were like waves of asexuality coming off of Ray in the theater.
So sometimes things just go over my head because apparently sex is a drive, which, ew. So we're just gonna not talk about that. On the other hand, I actually really did like Gavin. Gavin was a very sweet guy.
Yeah, I was not convinced at first, but he sold, like,
yeah,
I got there.
I wasn't convinced.
And I was legit sad when he died.
Yeah, and he was our first murder.
Who knew? Well,
he was really sweet, and he was really bad at the ring toss, and he wanted to get I already forgot her name. Natalie. He wanted to get Natalie, like, a thing from the carnival. Yep. And he kept throwing rings and spent a lot of money and couldn't get one, and so he went back to get one. And then he tried to steal it, and then he was killed while trying to steal it. So, I mean, really.
He was sweet.
He was sweet. I liked him. Everybody had a very graphic death. He had a very graphic death.
Not everybody, but he did.
Yeah, he did, and let me find out his name. Asher, our Asian guy, he had a very graphic death. Which I will talk about in a little bit.
I don't remember it, so you're going to have to...
You don't remember it?
Well, we'll get there.
Like, I mean, it's the one that sticks with me. Anyway, okay. So, the whole point of this thing is, like, there's the fun horror section, which is kind of scary things. We have carnival games.
The whole thing was, like, it was, like, this company, like, took over an amusement park and, like, Halloweened it. And I had the impression that company does that at various theme parks.
It's like
but
a
it's like one
thing.
place every year.
Yeah. And so they had like the fun thing where everybody had drinks, and then the further you went into the park, the scarier and more extreme it got. So, like I said, like in our 5-minute post-movie thing, I really want to go to Hellfest. It looked so cool. Right. I was so engaged with the actual festival itself, even though I didn't care about the characters.
That whole conceit of, like, as the farther you go, the more fucked up it gets, very much gave me Westworld.
Yeah, exactly. Like it was just totally like, Westworld, of course, they like deliberately do that in that show.
And that's what it was in this too. I mean, it was very much you explore this first area, but then if you want to go past into where it's more fucked up and more dangerous, then
you go into the Deadlands.
You have to like sign a thing, and there's only one way to get there.
And then you go into hell, right? Like, so it's just like scarier and scarier and scarier.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And so they actually have to sign a waiver because once they get into the Deadlands portion, the performers can actually touch them.
Yeah.
So, my first complaint about our main slasher villain is, like, what triggered him to start killing people. Because he was actually not after our main group at all. There is this one girl he overheard saying, "Oh, I'm not scared. This is so scary. Like, whatever. I'm over it." And the very act of this woman not being scared by this performer, like, clicked something in his head, and he started following her.
He wasn't a performer, though. He was a visitor.
Well, I mean, the killer was a visitor.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so like, we never see his face. We see him from the back, and then he goes through the whole, like, metal check and everything, and then he pulls the mask out of his pocket, and then he's wearing the mask for the entire time. So he, just this rando dude, saw this girl not being scared by a performer and was like, "I'm gonna kill that lady. I'm gonna teach her how to be scared, I guess." Like, what the fuck? I don't even know.
I think it was just that he wanted a victim and she was there and was memorable because she was making a real point about not being afraid of what she thought was a performer, but was in fact an actual murderer.
No, I'm talking about the original girl, not our final girl.
Oh.
No, he started following someone, and she bumped into him, and he was all like...
You're still on the prologue?
No, this is not the fucking prologue! Come on. Memory issues.
True facts.
Alright, so just listen to me. Okay, so we had the prologue, which was the first murder.
Yeah.
Then we had our group talk about, ooh, how scary that first murder was. It's turned into this whole urban legend. Then we followed the killer in the killer's point of view, and he ran into a random woman who was not scared.
Oh.
She was not scared by a performer, so he started stalking her through the park.
Got it, yeah.
Our main group And they had like different scary mazes. Like here's the little baby one if you don't want to be scared too much, and here's the middle one, and then here's your worst nightmare if you want to go in that. Of course, the guys all wanted to go into the worst nightmare one, and the girls all wanted to go into the like little baby one. But when the girls were in the easiest horror maze, they came across the victim being chased by the killer. And that's when Natalie was all like, I'm over it, I'm not scared, go ahead and do it. And so he kills the girl in front of her, and then at that point he fixates on Natalie, and that's where he comes into the actual stalking for the rest of the movie.
Right.
So I was not in the prologue.
Yeah, you're just going into much more detail than I thought you were.
I told you guys I was going to go into detail here.
All right.
Okay, so anyway, Gavin was cute. Gavin was killed first. The guys went into the scariest fuck maze. Asher was the second to die. He got separated from the other
I remember how he died now.
I can remember now. And so the scary like murderer guy stole an ice pick from a snow cone vendor. And so for it's a serrated ice knife or something like that. And so for the whole movie, he's using this ice knife to kill people with it. And Asher, sadly, got this ice pick knife like in his eye. So
No. That was a syringe. He got a syringe in his eye. It was like a hypodermic needle straight into the eye.
Whatever. It was
and then he shoved it the rest of the way into his brain.
eye.
Yeah.
And they do it very close up. It's very gross. If you have eye things, please be aware when you see Asher going down, like hide your eyes or something. It's gross. So Asher's the second one to die. And then we have our two BFFs, Brooke and Natalie, whom I shipped the entire movie.
Same.
And then we have Taylor and Q, who was Brooke's boyfriend. They have a couple of scary things. Like, in order to get into the Badlands, there's, like, actually you have to get into this automated portion that, like, you ride to the next part.
This moment is the only one that gave me, like, real suspense. Is when she ended up alone
because
in the
Gavin
car.
At that point is dead, even though she doesn't know it.
So she gets into this, like, car alone in this ride thing, and then it stops, and then, like, there's this flashing red light.
It turns red light.
And then when we're just waiting for a little while, and the car stops and starts a few times with this, like, flashing red light, and then it just stops. And then it just goes black. And I was like, oh god. I would freak out. And then like once their killer guy was there, I was like, okay, I'm good now. Alright, fine.
So like
that was the only moment of actual suspense that I had.
Yeah. Honestly, very straightforward slasher movie.
Yeah.
I'm probably going into a lot more detail than I need to, but I need to keep the details in my head straight so I can talk about them later. So anyway, Asher dies, and then they get everybody who wants to go into the hell portion of the park. We get our Tony Todd cameo as like the really fucking awesome ringleader guy. And honestly, like, Tony Todd is in fucking everything. He was in this for 5 minutes just to look cool and to be gravelly and scary and be theatrical.
He was dressed in a manner which to me gave me a little bit of Dr. Facilier.
Yeah?
That's the guy's name from Princess and the Frog, right?
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
He gave me a little bit of that.
Yeah, it's kind of like Ringmaster sort of thing.
I didn't get circus at all.
No?
No, I totally got like New Orleans voodoo, Dr. Facilier.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, they're like, ooh, in order to open hell, we need a sacrifice. And Taylor, Taylor and Asher are the horror, like fans of this group. They're the ones that are freaking out over everything. She volunteers.
And she's just generally a very gregarious person.
Yeah.
And so she was, of course, the person to volunteer to be the sacrifice.
Mm-hmm. And so she gets pretend guillotined, and then the camera, then the curtains go quiet, and then you're like, of course, the slasher guy is her executioner, and he tries to decapitate her for real. Except that, of course, the guillotine being a prop doesn't actually
work very well because it's not meant to.
Because it's not meant to. So she's just got this horrible bleeding wound. She actually manages to escape. And then he chases her down and stabs her in front of a bunch of people. And then Q comes to her aid, and then he just stabs him. Yeah. And so now we have 2 dead people, and everybody's freaking out. And he's just all like, I am just gonna continue stalking this white chick because I'm not gonna I don't know, leave now that I've created a bunch.
He's having his fun.
He's having his fun, and apparently he doesn't care about being discovered.
Yeah.
And
I think he's just confident that he won't be.
Right. And of course, by this point, we have found out that several of the actors in the park have the same mask that he does. So there's 15 different people who look like him.
Yeah.
Which, whatever. And then there's some scary maze stuff. All the guys end up dead. Taylor ends up dead, and then we're stuck with Natalie and Brooke.
Yeah.
My OTP.
I wouldn't say that I was stuck with them because they were my faves.
Yeah, they were absolutely the best. And so they stuck together, and they went, oh, this is the exit. And of course there was another maze because they could not fucking tell where they were.
Oh my God.
That was the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
They were looking for an exit, and then there was this big doorway with that was like an open mouth with teeth, and they were like, oh, that must be an exit. Yes, walk into the mouthful of teeth. That's the exit.
Yeah, of course that's the exit.
Oh my God.
And so they end up stuck in this maze with the killer.
Yeah.
And there's actually some pretty good visuals. There's this room.
Oh, yeah, we should just say that once we passed into the scary part where the actors were allowed to touch the guests, the costume design and the character concepts for this attraction really stepped up. There was some amazing character design.
There really were. The one I'm especially thinking of now is the kids. They had bags over their heads, and then they just took the hands of our main characters and led them to the next person.
It was this group of wordless, faceless children. It was really good.
So yes, character design and costumes,
really
especially in that, are amazing.
Yeah.
Honestly, if to go see this movie, you're not here for the plot, you're here to see Hellfest.
Basically, it's just wouldn't it be cool if Hellfest existed, and that's the movie.
Right?
But in order for it to be a movie, they had to put a plot in.
Yeah. And so at the end of it, the killer escapes, but Brooke and Natalie both survive. Which I was super excited by. You never get two final girls.
Yep.
And they're going to go off and go study in Spain or whatever. Italy.
They were going to travel to Spain.
They were going to travel to Spain together, and I just imagine that they get therapy and live happily ever after.
Like they had always talked about doing. They always talked about going to Spain, and that they're going to go to Spain and get married.
So cool. And so in my headcanon, they get therapy, they go to Spain, and they live forever, happily ever after.
In Spain.
And then we get this little tag at the end where you're following the killer home.
Okay, I want to stop there for a second. Because the whole time, the way that they were distinguishing our killer with the mask from other people with the same mask is the killer's shoes, because he had these steel-toed boots. And so...
With one of the shoes being kind of old.
Yeah, they were kind of distinct.
Yeah.
Steel-toed boots. And so, at the end, all the place was swarming with cops, and, the baddie disappeared. And so I was assuming that we were gonna, cut to, a cop, and, pan down and see the cop wearing that distinct shoe.
Oh, really?
That's what I was thinking, that we were gonna get a reveal that the way he got out was by disguising himself as a cop. Or maybe
I thought you were going at the idea of him actually being a cop.
Well, that's exactly what I was about to say. Either disguising himself as a cop, or maybe really being one. But either way, panning down to cop and see that he got out because... he looked like a cop. We didn't get that. He just disappeared, and then...
Okay, and then we basically follow him home. He drives into the driveway, and he goes into his garage, and he's got this lockbox full of masks and, pictures and stuff.
And there's, a picture of the girl who died in the prologue.
And then he hangs this mask up with those other masks, and then closes it, and then goes into this house, and it turns out, he's a family man, he's got a kid. She's all like, what did you bring me, Daddy? And he's all like, here's this thing. And then that's the end of the movie. That's not actually what I care about. They're like, okay, whatever, he was a guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess on some aspect, I do appreciate that they were showing, hey, this is just this regular guy who was taking an opportunity to fulfill these needs, right?
Yeah, I kind of interpreted that as, kind of a clumsy way of saying...
Anybody.
Sociopaths. Yeah. They're just like us.
Yeah. But, at least they're not like Michael Myers. He has a family. He can apparently, move in society, whatever. I don't care about him. What I am curious about, though, is because that mask belonged to actors in Hellfest, and he had all these other masks... Mm-hmm. How...
It raises the question.
If he's hanging up the mask until, I guess the next time he gets his fixation and gets another mask, then why, he killed the girl in a completely different place. We don't know where that place was, but the thing moves around. But he still had this mask that was very specific to this place. It wasn't a generic mask. So, like, that's stuck in my head going, like, does he just follow this thing around?
Well, I don't think so, because he has, like, a house in that town.
He's got a house, he's got a family. So I'm all like, well, I mean, it could have just been the prologue, what is the story, but then why show us the prologue if it was only the urban legend in the first place? I think it may have been a plot hole, but I'm not sure. I mean, it's very tenuous. I'm like, whatever.
I think it was a little open-ended on purpose. I think there's a few ways you could interpret that. I think I'm being very charitable by saying these things. I think that they wanted an ending that was like, ooh, but they didn't think of a good one. I mean, so they gave us this.
Because he escaped and no one could identify him, that does open franchise possibilities. If the movie...
man. I would watch
Hellfest.
Fest, too. Absolutely.
Right. So, like, in general, that's really the big thing that stood out for me. And the fact that we had 2 final girls who went to live in Spain together.
I like that we had 2 final girls. I like that the women were just generally better characters than the men.
That's true. They were all better.
I didn't need them to all be straight.
True.
And I could have done with a little bit of plot.
Yeah.
And I could have done with a little bit of supernatural, but that's just me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Jay was actually talking earlier about how they wanted to talk about how obviously there probably wasn't going to be anything supernatural in our first segment when we were talking about the trailer. I just assumed automatically that it wasn't going to be supernatural and would have been pleasantly surprised had there been something supernatural.
I like when a slasher goes there. That's one of the reasons I like the Friday the 13th movies, even though they're bad.
Oh, but they're so boring. Freddy Krueger. You get personality and you get supernatural.
Yeah. So, I like a slasher with some supernatural, but, I get why this wasn't that.
It's basically, what I'm looking for at this point in my slasher movies is personality. Because that is why Michael Myers is so boring to me, because he's got nothing. He's got, I'm just bored. I fall asleep during the Halloween movies.
Interestingly, I agree with that. So, you go for the personality, you go for the creativity of the kills. And this kind of had that.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say that they were creative.
It's no Freddy.
No, it's just, I mean, and I can respect that. He is a guy who used mundane means to kill these people.
He was literally just using what he had available to him.
Which I respect. Yeah. But, I mean, he wasn't meant to be, like, a big thing.
Yeah.
I didn't particularly care about him. I wasn't invested in anybody other than the 2 women that ended up surviving. Mm-hmm. So I was happy that they survived because they were literally the best characters. But I feel like I had more to say about this movie, but now that I've talked it out, I mean, it's just sort of like bland and mainstream. It was fun, but it wasn't anything that's going to stick out to me. Like, I'll forget about it next week.
I would be interested to see a sequel, to see how they treat that. I can think of a few different ways to approach it. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed seeing Tony Todd, who clearly has fun being a big presence for 30 seconds in a movie.
Right. And knows that he will be paid for it because everybody loves him.
Yeah.
Single-handedly, he is the one reason I went to see this movie, because I knew he was going to be in it for 30 seconds. So, but yeah, I guess that there wasn't really all that much to talk about. I just filled most of it with my super ridiculously detailed summary.
I have a question. Uh-huh. What rating would you give this movie?
Oh,
remember we used to do that?
I guess I remember. It has been so long, guys. We've missed you. C+? C? It was solid middle of the road. I'd give it... Oh, no, I'll give it a C+ because they did have characters of color and one of them survived.
I was going to say, B-. So we're right around the same area there. I've seen much worse.
Oh.
Much worse.
Much worse.
I had fun. If we were in a theater with a good, fun audience, I think that would have been a fun experience.
Mm-hmm. But there were 4 people, including us.
It was more than that, but they were quiet.
5 people, maybe.
There was a whole group at the bottom. I don't think you noticed. But they were quiet, and it was...
They were quiet, and occasionally one of us laughed here and there.
Right.
I mean, the characters themselves were pretty clever, and Brooke, I loved her. she, I think, was my actual favorite character in the movie, so I'm glad she survived.
Yeah, there was a few moments where they used the setting to their advantage. They didn't quite go there as much as I hoped.
Right.
But they did it. They used some weapons available to them, and they took advantage of a maze.
And they took advantage of the maze. They took advantage of an employee closet.
Oh, yeah.
Which I was really happy with. But also I was terrified because, like, come on, you're going to lock yourself in a closet and not know where your psycho murderer is. But, you know, they had a...
Can I interrupt to make a confession?
Okay.
I was expecting something all throughout that movie that I thought I saw in the trailer that I think I must have seen in a trailer for a different movie.
What did you...
Okay, so remember when she was in the bathroom hiding in the stall and he was like pounding on the door? I thought we were going to see his hand reach over and drop some bloody teeth. What trailer is that from?
Oh, okay. No, that trailer is from the new Halloween movie.
Thank you.
Which I'm actually excited about that because Jamie Lee Curtis. I'm not exactly
Jamie Lee Curtis!
sure like how good of an actress she is. But
I don't care how good of an actress she is. She's Jamie Lee.
I will stand her Laurie forever.
Oh my god. Oh wait. No, we finished. C plus B minus. Okay.
C plus B minus.
So Halloween. Is it just called Halloween? Or?
It's just called Halloween. Of course, it's completely ignoring the fact that Laurie did, in fact, behead Michael Myers in, I think, Halloween 20 years later or something like that.
I mean, so if you can't retcon in a slasher franchise, then what are you going to do?
But yeah, the handful of teeth over the bathroom stall.
The whole time we were in the bathroom, I thought we were going to see that, and it never happened, and I was like, where the hell did that come from?
A different movie. Yeah. So, okay, I think we should stop there.
Yeah, I think that's more than enough. 40-minute video or something.
Thank you very much for sticking with us, even though we honestly didn't have very much to say. It's good to be back. Good to see you guys again.
We are thinking about kind of doing this semi-regularly. We have a great big list of movies that we want to watch and talk about, and we're also going to start trying to do this with movies that come out. And we're going to try and get them posted.
Since we aren't doing any unboxings anymore, I'm very sorry, guys, anybody who followed us because we were doing unboxings. It got expensive and I got bored. So we're just going to be doing movie reviews or whatever else happens to get our interest. Like and subscribe if you want to stick with us. You can tell us in the comments if there's something that you want us to watch and review.
Yeah, and this includes old movies. We're going back to black and white.
We're going to go to the Hammer films. We
have a whole big list. We're going to watch the old Suspiria before the new one comes out.
Like the old Italian horror movies that we haven't watched. Like we're going to watch. We're pretty much going to watch everything horror.
So tell us what movies you think we should watch.
And I promise this time we will actually look at the comments. So I'm sorry, guys, if anybody has commented and we didn't respond. It's because we suck. But I'm going to work on that.
So thank you for watching. We really appreciate it. Anything else?
No, I don't think there is.
Okay, well, if I was a real YouTuber, I would tell you to like and subscribe and all that shit, but I'm not, so bye!
So bye!
I did you.